We will need it, man. Thank you.
So it's 55. It's not many people. Like for Europeans, it's pretty weird because the time changed because we had daylight savings. So it's 8 o'clock. Usually for me, it's 9 o'clock to brew. But this week it's 8 o'clock, and then next week it's 9 o'clock again because the Americans change the time next week, and it's pretty weird.
For me, it is the same time as usual.
For me, it's 1 hour earlier. You can actually watch Champions League after the brew. It's no real competition. Is Scotty a good competition for you, Squall? Maybe Romedas here. You people coming. Vladi, the Übertrader, is here as well. Who's... Yeah, I think I can start the quiz soon, huh? Or I wait for somebody. I don't know. What you think?
Go with your heart, man.
Dominic is here.
Hey,
Somebody,
hey, hey. What's up, guys?
somebody, somebody talking to me besides Squall.
Someone talking to you. Oh my gosh, yo. ODB, how you doing, man?
Good. Like
Okay.
it's really weird with the time. Like I just like the Europeans, for us it's an hour earlier this week, and then next week it's an hour later again.
What the
What?
fuck?
Yeah, so it's normally it's 9 for me. Today it's 8, so I can watch Champions League after the brew.
Oh, this
Champions
is
League? Who's
good.
playing today?
It's most groups are already over, like, so it's not that good, not that interesting.
Mm.
So everybody's here. I should start the quiz. People waiting. Squall wants a new air bike. I tried. I
Or
tried to
Squall.
make it a little bit economic. So
Okay.
everybody's
Okay.
here. Bomba's
Economic
here.
quiz.
Yeah, let's get this started then. Let me kind of explain the rules a little
Yeah,
bit,
it's
and then we can do this.
yeah.
All right, everybody, who's joining right now, as tradition in these Atlas brews, we have a Atlas quiz beforehand, where we put 5 questions out, and you get 1 point for each question you get right. The questions will be said in the voice chat as well as typed in the Atlas Brew text channel in the Discord server. The first person to type the answer correctly, so that means no spelling errors or anything like that. First person to do that gets a point, and then the person with the most points at the end of the 5 questions gets a Fimble Air Bike. So yeah, those are the rules. ODV, take it away. Let's do it.
First question coming up in the chat. Which Atlas manufacturer has a shark in its lineup? You can check in the GAO 2 brochure. No, the manufacturer I want.
This is super easy. Starts with O.
Mm.
The wrong, no.
Wow, new
Wow.
Jose,
Yeah.
you're
And Squall
canceled.
got it wrong. Shame on
Wrong.
Squall.
It's easy. Opal Scotty got 1 point. Scotty
Okay,
got 1 point.
Scotty.
Okay, cool. Question
Number 2.
number 2. How much Atlas you need to stake to get the highest tier 5 of Atlas staking?
Oh
Like
hell no.
market fees discount. Yeah, Frontier was close. Archetype was very close.
Very close.
Come on.
Oh my god.
You can check in the police. Oh, Alexis got it. Alexis got it. Nice.
Okay.
So it's one Scotty, one Alexis. That's in this now is a squall question. Everybody can get this question very easy. What is the origination price of the PSD9 in US dollar, please?
Mm.
Archetype got it.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
So
Look at
it's
that.
3 times 1 point. That was actually Squall's question, right? Now a funny question. How many jobs are listed at the moment on the official Star Atlas career page?
Oh my god. Yeah, that's a tough one, man.
No, there are jobs listed, I think. I don't know when they updated it or if they updated it. That's just a little hint. That's why I bring up the question. Well, you go to the official website, startlas.com, and there's a career page. And Squall got it. See, he knows the trick. Squall knows the trick.
It's
10
the tip,
jobs
right?
listed. Yeah, 10 jobs are listed at the moment. So if you need a job, apply for Star Atlas.
Yeah, apply.
Question number 5. It's a funny question. How much euro is the menu suggested
This is
by
awesome.
Frank in the Meetup Lisbon channel? So you go to the Meetup Lisbon channel and then you check Funcracker's post, and he posted a picture of menu, and there you find the price of the
That
menu.
is
Oh,
awesome.
I want to know this one. Let's see
I
how
wasn't expecting
how
this
rich
question.
Funcracker
How
is
much is
now.
the fish? How much is the fish? Come on. You have to scroll up a bit. Somebody posted check this morning.
10 polis.
No.
Wow, that's an expensive dinner if it costs that.
Yeah, you can choose, like there's pork belly in there as well, I read. What you would choose, like pork belly or the fish or?
Oh man, it's a difficult decision.
I don't eat fish. I'm the worst penguin ever.
Well, won the quiz. Oh, it's too
Wow,
easy,
Squall won an airbag?
Oh my god. Yeah, he got 2 times right 10, and yeah, he knows the working questions, like he's not lazy. You can't say Squall is lazy. He won it
No,
again.
no. Squall knows
you
his
could you
stuff.
could call Squall a lot of things, but you
And
can't
I
call
am
him lazy.
drunk. What do you mean you're drunk, Squall? You're always at
Well,
work
I
at
need
this time.
coffee. No,
Are you
today,
drunk at
man. It's
work?
holiday.
Today
Holiday.
is a holiday in Brazil.
Oh,
Told you
true.
guys.
Jose told me. Jose told me. I forgot.
Okay
Just
then,
let
guys,
them-
have fun in the brew. See you next week. Thanks to everybody, and yeah, see you.
Oh, thank you,
Ciao.
Joe.
Ciao.
I love
the
it.
best
This.
outro ever. That's the
Yeah,
best outro.
I love it. The outro.
You need
Yeah,
some
yeah,
outro
yeah.
music, ODV.
Yeah, he needs some outro.
Yeah, like he needs the old movie team song, you know?
Yeah, he needs a song for himself, like only for DV.
Yeah, man. I think this is what we need to do right now.
Yep. You need to sing it, Jose. You
I
need to
will.
sing it.
In German.
Not after we won the World Cup, then you will be sad.
Oh wow.
Oh my god, look at all the baby. Shots fired.
Shots fired. But yeah, let's get into the brew. Let's get into the brew.
Let's
We
get
still
into
have
the brew.
some people joining, but as you know, guys, we're following a complete new schedule for the Atlas Brew. So now something that is better for everyone is that you have all the topics that we're going to be chatting about in the events category. So you scroll right at the top of the server, and you will find the events. So you just take a look and just mark as interested the ones that actually interest you. So also you're starting to find what I'm going to mention next if you go to events, which is we are going to have a new event, and this is going to be a 3 weeks event, guys. 3 weeks event, super simple, but it's going to be fun. So Dom, if you want to explain it, go for it.
Absolutely. I just posted the announcement, and let me explain it for you guys too, really quick. So it's called Faction Trivia. It's going to be, like Santi said, a 3-week long event where you'll be able to compete in a trivia event where your answer to questions, if you get it right, kind of similar to how we do these Atlas Brew quizzes. When you get a point, instead of it going towards yourself, it'll be going towards your faction. So we'll have a 3-week long event, 3 different faction trivia events where every point you gain will be towards your faction. And at the end of the 3 events, the faction with the most points wins. Now, in terms of prizing, for every question you get first and correctly, you'll gain 1 raffle ticket. And at the end of the 3 tournaments or 3 trivia events, the winning faction will have all of their raffle tickets doubled. So the winning faction will basically have more of a chance to win any prizes and stuff like that. So yeah, if you guys want more information specifically on the dates and the time, it is in the announcement channel. And yeah, if I'm missing anything, let me know.
I think you got everything right, but you forgot the one of the main. Well, did you say it? And I missed it.
Your mic kind of cut out. Would you say something?
That you missed one of the main prizes.
Oh, true. Okay. Here's another thing, everybody. So the top scorer of the winning faction will get a behind-the-scenes look at the Star Atlas team server. So that means you'll get some insight into some things being made. You know, it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. So I think that's going to be one of the main prizes. All the other prizes are random. I mean, there's more of a chance for the winning faction to win them. But for the behind the scenes look of the Star Atlas team Discord server, it's the most points gained for the winning faction. So
Man.
anything I'm missing there? Anything I'm missing there, Santi?
I think you are not missing anything now. Just I don't know. It's an exciting prize. It's the reward you get for being the most knowledgeable person in Star Atlas. You get to have a behind the scenes look at the Star Atlas server, the team server. So
Are we really doing that? This is
that
a
is
huge prize, actually.
yeah, that is full of alpha.
It's literally the alpha place.
It's the
Oh
alpha
my
place.
god.
Yeah. It's the alpha place. But you said it's empty. If you're referring to the if you're referring to the Stratus Disco server, believe me, it's not empty.
No,
It's not
not at
empty.
all.
Not at all. Yeah. So yeah, guys, make sure to mark yourself as interested in the event. Let me paste it here again, so you can mark as interested and you can participate in the event. So you can go
Man,
now to the Brew chat and mark yourself as interested and see. We'll see which is
I
the faction with the most knowledge.
I guess I'll
Mhm.
participate just to not let anyone see our servers.
Oh,
Wow, an inside man.
All right, I'm joking, but it's going to be
protecting the
awesome.
alpha.
Let's
All
see
right.
who knows more about Star Atlas.
Yeah,
Cool. Well,
we will see.
how do we feel
So,
about explaining the new Atlas Brew style in preparation for today?
do you want to explain it, sir?
Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, we have a revamped brew style, and it's going to be a monthly schedule where the first Wednesday of the month is going to be economics, the second Wednesday of the month is going to be politics, the third Wednesday of the month is going to be game structure, and then the fourth Wednesday of the month is going to be community updates and freestyle. We did this so you guys can look forward to everything and basically, for those of you who might be new to the Atlas Brew as well, the Atlas Brew is kind of a sacred tradition in the Star Atlas community nowadays, where every Wednesday we get together, we brainstorm, we theory craft, we talk about things, and the thing here is though is that the things that we talk about, I take notes the whole time, and the notes that I take I give to the Star Atlas team. So anything you say, you do have a voice here, and there is possibility for it being used, and having inspiration to the Star Atlas team. So, um, yeah, that's it from me. Santi, if I missed anything, let me know.
I think you got it. I think you got it, sir. So now we can get started with our topic. Actually, how do you feel, Tom?
I'm feeling good about this. Is an interesting topic, actually. Super interesting topic.
Cool. Jose, you ready, sir?
I'm ready, Santi, and yeah, man, like this is a struggle. I mean, like this is a not easy question that has no easy solution or answer. And I feel that every crypto project, especially, is dealing with it right now. And here in Star Atlas, we have some of the brightest minds already tackling the subject. But we felt that it's interesting to involve community on discussing the perks, the pros and cons of having bots in our ecosystem. And here we are not talking only about bots in the marketplace or in screen, but any sort of activity that could be automated in Star Atlas. And yeah, I'm super excited to hear community thoughts on how they perceive bot activity, if they had experienced it in any crypto game or in any place bots, and how it interfered with their gameplay ability or overall experience. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hear community sharing their thoughts on this.
Yep. So there we have a few questions prepared for you guys, for the community, and we want to hear your opinions. So let's um let's talk first about, for example, we there are bots in the marketplace. So what do you feel, guys? Are they good or bad for this Atlas ecosystem?
This is a pretty tough one. I mean, on one
It's a
hand,
difficult one.
some people would say they provide liquidity for the market, and then on the other hand, people would say they take up orders, like they put a penny higher than your order, and then they get their order filled over you. So there's two sides here, and I can see both sides of the story, to be honest. But yeah, Jose, what do you think?
Yeah, man, it's super funny because I see lots of people talking about liquidity, and yeah, it's a one major factor in having bots in the Star Atlas marketplace overall. But man, it's so annoying to see that after you just place one order, there's a second later, like 1 point Atlas above order from the bot. It's really, sometimes it can get really frustrating. I know how people feel about this. And but yeah, man, like I see that ODVB don't like bots at all. You want to share your opinions of ODVB on this?
Ah, you put
ODV
it
is
on the
deafened
spot.
right now. ODV is
Yeah,
deafened
he's
right now,
definitely.
so he's not
I
going to be
think
able
he's
to.
probably recording. He's probably
But I think
recording.
he would. I think he would say something not PG anyway. So I think he's
Well,
got it.
I
Oh,
go
here we
on.
go.
Like, for me, I'm no, 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 no. So I'm thinking. I play a lot of games, and in many games we had Eve Online today, and even like some like Guild Wars. I don't know, probably some World of Warcraft guys, and a big part of every game I ever played is trading. Like, if there's an economy in the game, so yeah, I like to trade, and then either we make it fair play, so we have some auto bidding or something, so you put in a max price and a min price or something, and then you get the bot yourself, or everybody gets the bot. But like giving some people advantage, only like people who have some knowledge in scripting and stuff, is not fair in my opinion. So I'm very against bots, and that's just the market. for the whole game, like we have to develop a lot of things like to prevent botting.
Yeah,
But that's the next
okay,
topic.
we'll
Yeah.
get into
So
that.
just just
After
to market. I think fair play for everybody. Everybody should be able to use the bot, or like nobody. I think so. I think it's not fair at the moment that only a few tech freaks, geeks with a lot of knowledge know how to run a bot or something. You know. I mean, I saw some games like
Yeah.
where you can put like there's a ship for $10. The current price is like $5 or what, and you put in $9.99 for your max bid, and I don't know if it's possible to, or maybe an auction or something. I have no idea, but I think from a gamer standpoint, all games like marketplaces in games prevent botting, from my opinion. So we should have the
Okay.
same bot.
I have some a point to digest here, and I want to hear your guys' opinions on this. Like, the creation for a marketplace bot shouldn't be considered like an extension of the ability of the guild of crafting and organizing resources to pull something like this. Should we, as Starados, as an institution, try to prevent guilds from creating this kind of devices to work with our marketplace? This is an important question because this sets the precedence of how Star Atlas can uh, intervene in the marketplace of the game, you know? So this is something that we need to think about and really pay attention as a community.
Yeah, I would like to hear the opinion on someone that is actually in favor of bots and thinks that they are good, and why. Anybody dares to speak?
Depends on, like ODBV was saying, like how open they are and how everyone can use them. Is the game supplying them, or is only a couple of tech geeks able to run a bot? And not just the marketplace, also later in game. For a simple task for mining, for example, maybe it's cool if an NPC can be automated for a task, as long as you keep feeding him and you have the resources there. It keeps doing the task till it runs out of one of the resources, and then you have to refill. So, like the score thing, maybe semi-automated, or but yeah, I think it's not necessary needed for a game like that we're developing. I think it would be cool if there was no need for bots. That would mean there is actual people playing the game and providing uh, their uh, their time, and also make revenue from that instead of having a lot of bots running games.
Yeah, but that is different from the marketplace because you're mentioning now the in-game bots, like botting, like automated
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. But it is like you were just saying, like marketplace is an example. But how far are we are gonna accept the bot? Like marketplace, okay, yeah, it's annoying, but it's only 1 cent, and if there is enough market volatility, then it will move anyway. So yes, it's annoying, but real people do it too, and yeah, you will not prevent it from happening.
Mhm. Okay. Anyone who like to voice their opinion on bots, like in favor or against? Again, in the marketplace. In the marketplace. Signal says you will never stop bots on the market, but you can make the technology accessible to all. How would you do that? Not sure if you can talk, Signal.
You could just make an
Basically,
you could just make an application that's accessible and readily available to everybody. It could either be sponsored by the DAO and created through that as an organization, or some type of trusted guild. But you're never going to get all of the bots out of the marketplace for one. So the best thing that you could do is make sure that everybody has the same exact advantage, and it ceases to be an advantage at that point. Beyond that, what I would point out is if you have bids and asks that are polar opposites of each other and they're nowhere near each other, I do think, as much as it may be annoying as a feature, the undercutting and overbidding functions of bots bring bids and asks closer together so deals can actually happen. I think they provide a critical service in the form of liquidity. I think they help deals actually transpire rather than just sitting there stale. I think the bigger thing is democratizing the technology and making sure that you're not the one who doesn't have a bot and you're busy babysitting someone who's outbidding you 2 seconds after you create a bid. I think if everyone had this technology, it ceases to be an issue. You just have a range that you're willing to sell something for. Someone else has a range that they're willing to buy it for. And automated processes make the process easier and smoother and more adaptive. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Okay, I like that. I
Interesting.
like that. Yeah, thank you for sharing the opinion, sir.
Like it too.
Yep. So let's see. Do you guys think that the bots like very good is that they add liquidity to the marketplace? Or if you're in favor of bots in the marketplace, like why are you in favor? That would be like the question. Is it mainly because they provide liquidity, or do you feel like they provide bigger benefits?
Well, I tell you what, if you have a bot, you can make money. So that's kind of nice, right?
Yeah, everyone loves to make money. Yes. Yeah.
And I definitely think there's another issue at play here, which you guys brought up, specifically Zesk, as saying, should Star Atlas take a position, or Automata in this case, take a position of attempting to shut down people who are building applications or interfaces that interact with Star Atlas and the things that it develops? I think that's a dangerous precedent to set for the cost of saying that you're just annoyed by a bot undercutting you for $1. I think it's critical that as this layer gets built out for Star Atlas, we're going to want it to be an inclusive creator community for builders. I don't think you fire that off by taking the very first people building the very first things and set a precedent and say, yeah, but not you, not this, because we're Automata, a centralized authority, and we're going to tell you what you can and can't do in Star Atlas. I think that'd be a really dangerous stance to take.
I want to jump in here. Of course, it's a very thin line, and in our TOS, there is some article like in the TOS that you prevent people from botting. So it's a very thin line. I like all the programs, everything what's created for Star Atlas is super cool. But you create something what like destroys the economy or destroys the game, that should be like tackled immediately.
Which in this case isn't the case. Bots on the
It isn't the
marketplace
case.
aren't destroying the economy or the game.
It's just bothering people, I would say, that want to place an order and the bot places a bit higher or lower.
Yeah, somebody getting pissed off isn't destroying the economy.
Yeah.
I would also point out that some really cool innovations could be described as bots. The club created their auto refill functionality recently for Score, which is absolutely awesome, by the way. The concept that you could stake a bunch of X4s, and rather than have to go back and refuel them every single day, you could buy resources once, or you could buy them through an application, and they'll autofill and restake. That's taking players that have very little money, delivering a huge amount of value to them by giving them back some of their time, helping them maximize yield. And that's absolutely an automated process interacting with the marketplace. I just think it's a dangerous precedent to ever say, unless there's something game breaking, that automated should step in. Because once you set that precedent, they're exactly the people that would have wanted to step in when you got like an autofill feature on Score, because it changes the way they intended for Score to operate as a game. But sure enough, somebody developed something that worked on top of it, made a process easier, helped people with lower incomes maximize yields. I think as little stepping in as possible is what we should be aiming for, and I don't think bots on the marketplace is where we should set that precedent.
Okay. So now let's go to a bigger topic regarding bots, and it's like bots in the game, like automated botting, like on actions, like NPC actions, for example, or something like that. Are you guys worried about that? Like, is the community? Do you think about that? Are you worried about that, guys? I'm curious.
Honestly, I'm not a big fan of bots. I think most people that use bots just do it because of the financial rewards that they may reap. And after all, it's just going to be value that is going to be extracted from the ecosystem. Yeah, I'm not that in favor of bots, even though they provide liquidity. I think the market should just be only real people should interact with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and what about in-game bots? Like some people botting their accounts and stuff like that.
I think that bots are okay, but we need to have a balance as far as in-game. We need to have a balance of the we can't give them like an overwhelming advantage, right? Like, so if there's some way, like especially this early on in the game economy, I think it's important that whether we set the parameters with the epoch, with the timers or whatever, we need to be able to not give a huge overwhelming advantage to bots who can play 24/7 day and night, making actions every 5 minutes, or like. But if somebody can hop on once every couple hours or something and kind of do the same thing more or less, they might miss a couple of those transactions overnight when they're sleeping, but they're not going to be missing out on like 80% of the activity, right? So I think that that's really where it's going to make a difference, especially this early. Later on, when the game is much more robust and the economy is kind of already ironed out, then by all means, like there'll be a lot more of those applications available for other people. Like bots will be sold on the open market, but this early, I think it's important that we don't allow like a huge overwhelming advantage, but I think it's important that we allow allow it to the extent that we can have development in that area, because it is an important area of development and it brings a lot of developers.
I also saw a good point from Benny here, which I don't even think he was trying to make a point or anything, but he said bots are predictive, and I 100% agree with bots being predictive, and I guess the question would be from there is, would the players be farming the bots or would the bots be farming the players? So would it even be worth it to have a bot in like a play to earn game, or would you just lose money by doing that? I don't know.
Yeah, in answer to that, I'm sorry, bots are predictable, but they're also upgradable. So we can upgrade the bots, and if for the first months or 2 months you could predict the bots, I can assure you, if the bots are being constantly upgraded, there will be a point where you can't actually determine if an account is a bot or a person. After a while, you just can't.
I am very biased, and I want to just give in a little example. I think like 20 years ago, maybe Guild Wars 1, I first encountered bots in game, like, and it's not like you can kill them and you can have watch for them and stuff, but they go into the level, like in, for example, and then these guys gonna find out how to mine a planet or something automated, and then it's not one bot, you get tens of thousands of them, and they all gonna do like the simple tasks. And if Benny wants to go there and shoot each of them, he can try, but it will be many bots, once they find out how to do something what takes time automated, they're gonna use it. So I think it's gonna be a big problem, like I'm not sure how the gameplay mechanics work out, but if there's money to, some people like will make bots to farm or mine or whatever.
Yeah, bots are going to exist, so it's just a matter of kind of limiting fundamentally, like right off the bat, how far they can go. Like for example, in Axie, um, you know, there wasn't really any stopping the bots, but the problem was that the return on investment was so high that it allowed the bots to just scale to a ridiculous high, like tens of thousands of accounts. And so that kind of ran into that issue that you're talking about. Whereas if you kind of fundamentally limit it in a way that it doesn't really matter if you're botting or not, everybody kind of, you can only, there's a point of diminishing returns, right? Essentially with Axie, there was no point of diminishing returns. You could just keep scaling, and there was nothing there to like slow you down. Whereas we can, set even the idea of like 100, like 1 year APY, right? Like if it just fundamentally takes you a year to get your money back, no matter how much you play, that, for example, it's just an arbitrary thing I'm throwing out there. That's going to limit no matter what, you know what I mean? And so a player might be able to get maybe 80% APY because he's not botting and he can't play all the time. But if a bot can only get 100% APY, it's not that big of a difference. So I think that's the way it's going to have to be done, rather than just trying to stop bots across the board, because you just can't do it. It's just not possible. So it's better to look at it from a holistic perspective and just limit the whole economy, assuming that bots will exist, and then go from there.
How do you guys feel about Star Atlas adding features like while you are doing something, a gameplay feature like, for example, mining, you need to do some actions that only a human being would be able to do. This would be perceived for some as something like, oh my god, I don't want to do this kind of mini game or something like that. But maybe that would be a way of limiting bots.
You mean something like a captcha on any activity?
Yeah, not a capture like you drag something and that, but
Probably like what they had in RuneScape back in the day, where it was like a little mini game where if they suspect you of botting, they would like teleport you to a little mini game, and if you skipped the mini game too many times, then they would kind of flag your account. But I think that the problem with that is like you're trying to stop a problem like after the fact. I think it's better to set it up in the beginning to where you just assume that people are going to bot and allow that to happen. But just like, for example, like instead of if you allow mining to take place, like a mining action to take place every 5 minutes, people who aren't botting are just going to get wrecked, because the people who are botting can literally make that action every 5 minutes and they will never miss one of those actions for all day, every day. They'll never miss one. Whereas if you make it every 2 hours, every 3 hours, and I'm not suggesting that we do this forever, but especially this early in the economy where there is going to be some people that have a huge steep advantage because they do understand how this works. And if we deploy a situation where they can do an action every 5 minutes and everybody else is limited to just however much time they have in a day to play, then they can really pull ahead this early in the economy. And I don't think that's very good for us long term. Whereas if we limit those actions to maybe once every like couple hours, 3-4 hours, then even if you're a diligent player, you can wake up 2-3 hours, wake up, do your action, and it's just as good as a bot, right? Or maybe you miss a couple and it's no biggie.
This is interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I want to point out something counterintuitive. Let's say a huge guild that has 2,000, 4,000 user members, and a guild that has like 20, 30. A bot, I believe one of the things that could be pointed out is that a bot could give some leverage to that 40, 50 user member guild against that 4,000, 2,000 member guild. I mean, they need a chance, and this could be it.
I don't know, man, because the 2,000 people would have access to better bots, right?
Well,
Probably.
not necessarily, but yeah, they could, but not necessarily. I think at some point it becomes who can build a better bot. And maybe this turns into some sort of war, and people will start building bots against each other, and one bot that hits the other bot. I don't know, things like that. It could go all the way down there.
Yeah.
I think we really run into that sort of issue of like having to build a better bot if we allow an inherent advantage to botting right off the bat. I don't think that we should create a system where that type of advantage can even exist. I think that I just want to really preface or emphasize the idea that I'm only suggesting this because of how early we are. I don't think that we should do this for Unreal Engine 5 like in the future. I think that in the future things should be real time and build a better bot, and by all means like the best bot wins. But now this early, when we're still having people, I think that it could be something that could kind of almost put a bad taste in new people that are coming in's mouth if they have to sit there and do an action every 5 minutes to really maximize their gains in the game, whereas a bot is just doing those actions 24/7 and scaling 10 times faster because they never have to take a break. Then they're going to come in and be like, well, I can't keep up with this, and like, I mean, there was a game on Solana called like Laddercaster, and it was a 20-minute epoch. So, and I started botting that one, and it was like, it just, there was literally no point to playing the game without a bot. You know what I mean? Because if you were botting, you hit every single epoch perfectly. And if you weren't, you were just getting destroyed by those people who could. So that was just because of the 20-minute epoch. Whereas if it would have been a couple hours, anyone with any diligence, wouldn't have really missed out very much. They would have been able to get 80% of the same amount of value as a bot, because they would only miss a couple of the epochs overnight, right, when they're sleeping, or maybe if they go on vacation, they miss some, but it's not that big of a deal. Whereas if you do it every 5 minutes, you're going to be missing 80% of the epochs. It's a very radically different situation.
But the problem with your idea, Bodhi, is I just make thousands of bots, then I don't care if it's just 2 hours or 1 hour. It's just the sheer mass of my bots outperform all the players and get down the economy, because it's just
the only way you're going to be able to scale relatively, like if the if you're botting and I'm not, and we both start with the same size fleet, and the epochs are, let's just make it kind of extreme just to emphasize my example, but let's say the epoch is once a day. So if only once per day you have to do an action, whether you're botting or I'm botting, we can both do that same action once a day. So you can't really scale faster than me unless I go on vacation for a week and I miss 6-7 days, and your bot, and you go on vacation for a week, but your bot is able to scale during that 6-7 days. It's really not going to make that big of a difference, because at the end of the year, I'm going to have made 300 actions to your 365. I'm only 10-20% slower than you. So I hear what you're saying, but they wouldn't be able to. That's the point, is they can't scale to an absurd amount. Like, we should all be able to scale relatively the same, right? Whether you're botting or not. So the problem is like, if you make the epoch once every minute, then the botters are going to have a serious advantage. And then at the end of the year, I'm going to have only hit 10% of those epochs playing, or maybe if I play literally half of 12 hours a day and I'm very diligent, I'll be only able to hit half of the epochs, whereas you as a botter hit every single one. So in one case, I only missed, maybe a month or two, whereas in the other one, I missed half the year because the the resolution was tighter. So it really depends on, they're not going to be able to scale. Number one, if you don't create artificial rules, like if you create an artificial rule like don't bot, then that's going to be one way that the botters are going to have an advantage, because they're not going to follow the rules and everybody else will. So that would be one way that like botters could really scale beyond what normal players could do. And then another way that they could really have an advantage is if the epoch is too fast and the regular players just simply can't keep up. So if you let everyone bot, and then you also make the epoch long enough, like just as an extreme example, one day, I'm not going to miss a day. You know what I mean? So whether you're botting and I'm not botting, we're gonna have the same. You're not gonna have an advantage over me unless I go on vacation for a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what you're saying, like your approach to bots would be like just make it not worth it to create bots.
Not saying to not make it not. Oh, sorry. Not saying to not make it not worth it, but just don't create a system where there's this implied like advantage that is super far beyond, like just in that kind of extreme example of a day epoch. I think that's a little too long because that means that you only have to do one thing a day, right? But you know, let's say it's every 6 hours. So 4 times a day, that's a little bit more realistic. 4 times a day, you have to take your ship and go over here and mine it, and then it takes 6 hours for it to kind of refresh, right? Well, that means that I have to wake up at 8 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, eight in the evening, and 2 in the morning. So I might miss my 2 in the morning one, but you know, I'm still getting 75% of what a bot would get hitting all four. You see what I'm saying? So by
Somebody
making it
like an overnight mode provided by Star Atlas. That would
But
be that's interesting.
my other
No,
question.
yeah,
we're,
or
we're
we could,
assuming a lot of things here, though. Like
yeah,
the
or we
reality is
could
that there are
provide.
a lot of things being assumed, which is like the epochs and stuff like that, and how much time will it be in between, or how many times do you need to connect when, like, for example, you need to know that Scream is going to be like a massive multiplayer online, so that is
Kind of
it's different.
it's kind of this concept, like if you had a system where however many mouse clicks you clicked on the screen would be how many resources you got. That would obviously give an insane advantage to the bots, because the bots would just sit there and click 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 click, click all day every day, whereas normal people would just be click click, and they would have to take breaks. So that would be like an extreme example on the other side, where like you'd be giving a huge advantage, whereas if you make it you only have to click once every 24 hours, there's really no incentive to build a bot. So I think somewhere in between there, right? In between like a once a day versus like every second, that you can make that action. And that's really how you're going to like limit bots off the bat. And I think that's more important now, or this early, than it is going to be later. I think later it's important to have things be more real time. And, because then we have a robust economy where there's going to be people competing with the bots, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, and maybe even selling their bots on the open market, and collaborating guilds, creating bots and open sourcing them, things like that. Maybe Star Atlas open sourcing, but this early, I think the only way we can really limit this situation and prevent any sort of runaway with the bots, like what we saw in Axie, is to just make it to where regular players can keep up by essentially limiting the amount of actions per hour.
Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting take. Very interesting take. So I would like to hear opinions from other people as well. Like, how do you guys think? First, like, if you're against bots in the in game, like, how would you prevent bots from playing Scream, for example?
Hello?
Yeah, I hear someone. Someone say hello.
It's Partnership here. How are you guys? How's
Hey,
everybody?
Partnership. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's really cool. I'm loving the conversation, and I really kind of like. There's been a lot of ideas thrown around, but it's pretty interesting. I think this concept of eliminating sort of bot activity by design of games. I think it's a really valid point, and I think Star Atlas team should potentially look at that in terms of like the playability design, right? I think that's what the general concept was about. Like, how do you make the game playable in such a way that a human player can enjoy the gameplay, and it really wouldn't necessarily be beneficial to use bots, right? I think that's, or minimize the use of bots. And I kind of had a quick brainstorm idea, and perhaps you guys can dissect that or let me know your thoughts, where it would be interesting if Star Atlas can actually incorporate bots as part of the gameplay, in a sense where the Star Atlas team can create bot structure, where you could, for example, hire a character right, that runs your ships, that you pay that character salary to run your ships. And that could be part of the gameplay.
That is interesting. That is interesting.
Where you know, for example, you have like human players, right, that are owners or maybe part of the labor force, right, as individual people from different walks of life. Somebody has money, somebody has less money, right? But then on the flip side, you could have these programs that are part of the structure that are non-human entities, but those programs can become part of the gameplay. Because, for example, if somebody has the money, right, and these things are not like black market or hidden activity, or we're like going to design these bots. What if we design the bots from Star Atlas and then maybe have a bot marketplace where we can have programs for hire where people can benefit, but it will be interesting as gameplay because it will be a story based kind of thing. You adding depth to the game.
I would like to know what other people think about this.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and as far as the body idea goes, I mean, if some people are against bots, they could, create a radical humanitarian some sort of party and hunt down the bots. Detect the accounts that are bots and hunt them down. That could be done. That's a good lore for bounty hunting.
Or along that line, for example, you could have like if you can imagine like the overall workplace, labor force, right? You could actually have competition between bots and the workforce, but this is not going to be happening behind the scenes. This is going to be happening out in the open, and we could clearly identify human players versus the bot players that are actually built into the system by Star Atlas, right? This will prevent, in a way, like disadvantages. This would be like a real clear economical advantage. Like, for example, there will be a bot that can function a certain amount of hours, quote unquote, like a human character, right? It will be an Ooster bot or it'll be an Oni bot, and so on and so forth. And those will have different values, and people can trade with those and incorporate them into gameplay in creative ways.
I love TDS. I love TDS. I love it. Anyone else would like to share their opinions on bots?
Something along the lines like, for example, don't make something illegal, make it legal, open, and visible, and then the gameplay is becoming pretty fair to everybody because everybody will have access to purchasing the bot services.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. That's an interesting point. Very interesting. Not sure if anyone has anything against or in favor of it. If not,
Wasn't there a fact or a guild that was focused on developing bots?
not aware of a guild focusing on developing bots. Trying to think now, but I'm not aware of that.
StarTech or something like that. I thought it was.
I don't think they're developing bots. Maybe.
Yeah, no, we're not. We're not. Not
Well,
bots.
isn't the like replenishment bot from Club basically a bot, right?
Yeah.
It's a bot that was made by the community for the community, kind of.
Yeah.
And
Just what I would offer as an idea is that instead of having this, like at least at the initial stages, instead of having these bots being built by the community, we could have some basic bots being built by Star Atlas, where the benefits from renting those bots could actually be going to the DAO. Like the money could be going into the DAO or into like, the community.
I don't
Yeah.
think we should be enabling bots in this form and fashion. It completely defeats the purpose of playing this game.
We're not gonna be able to stop it. All the actions are on
Yeah,
chain.
so eventually in any MMORPG, bots come and what they do is they sit in the starting areas and they mine random ores with no clothes on. That's like what happens. Like we've all seen it with random like a string of key of letters and names, right? So in reality, the bots are just gonna farm materials. So, and how you want to prevent that is something I haven't thought of yet, but that is likely where they're going to target. Because once they get past the safe zone, right, that account is targetable. So the player owning the bot will have to invest money for that account to mine or do whatever resource farming safely. So once all the resources are used up in the low risk zone, however long that takes, then they would likely move on. But that's likely what I see playing out.
But the
Just
argument
limit
there is
the
actually.
beginning.
Oh, sorry. The argument there is again has to do with gameplay. Like there's some gameplay that's more exciting, kind of more gameplay oriented, what you would like want to do a battle, and maybe something more scenic, more like visually interesting. But what if like these bots would be specifically targeting these like random activities that are not particularly interesting to gameplay but are necessary?
Wouldn't that just be our NPCs? Isn't that
Well,
just
that's
Can
what
I?
I mean. Well, that's what I mean. The NPCs. I was actually looking for the term in my head and I couldn't remember it. Exactly that, where the NPCs would be fulfilling those roles, and if you can afford, an NPC labor force, do that, but do that out in the open, so they could pay taxes into the system, and they could support that, and it would be in the open. There would be no need for people to compete in making the better bot. Like it would just be part of the gameplay.
Can I ask a question? It's about we not really got to the topic yet. Like, what's about an aiming bot, for example? I saw the first gun released, so we have a shooter or something, or in the dogfight module, and then I have an automatic aiming system. What we do against that? That's also a bot, and we need to tackle it. Of course, otherwise it will destroy the game. And there's cheaters in every game I play. So how we handle this? If we say yeah, all bots are allowed and everything is allowed, how we tackle a bot in that regard, like an aim assisting bot or in whatever, like to win a dogfight or a battle on the
You
ground or whatever.
to answer that, I think the answer would be to make those available, but not overly efficient. Like
I
for
don't think
example,
that's the correct one. In my 2 cents, my 2 cents. Like the aimbot, it's just a complete different thing. Like it's a complete different thing. Like it's
But
literally, yeah, go for it.
I mean, like I don't know how the game's gonna work later on, like on servers or everything on chain. I cannot imagine like moving a character or having a PvP fight on chain directly, but like there will be aiming assisting systems or some sort of, if we have a fight or a battle somehow, there will be bots. So, and should be like forbidden, like, or are you okay with this?
It really affects the fun of the gameplay, I would say. Like just imagine if you can't even play Star Atlas because everybody is using aimbot. It stops being a fun game. So I'm not like I have not spoken about this with the team, but that is going to basically kill the game, in my opinion. When you join like when you join like a old Call of Duty where there's like they don't even care anymore and you can't even play because everybody is just hacking. Like
I
we don't
mean,
want Star Atlas to become that.
there's a huge
well,
difference between bots and hacking. I feel
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like there is no world where hacking should be allowed ever, like ever, never, ever, ever, especially in a setting with
for
money
example,
involved, competition and stuff like that. My opinion, though.
and again, my kind of thoughts don't come from experience of gaming. I'm just kind of hypothesizing, so that's why they could be completely wrong. And I don't feel bad at all for like you guys, giving like a more informed gamer opinion about it. I just kind of, I think, if something is inevitable, what you want to do is use design to make it less lucrative and less, usable in a sense, right? So kind of like you allow for interest in gameplay, right? Where a human being will find some activity most interesting, or if they cannot afford to purchase an NPC to do that activity, they would do it themselves, right? Because that's just their financial situation. but then there was no need for somebody to really do the fighting. NPC, like, they could just do it themselves, because that activity is very interesting to them, and like, rather than like some specifics of unpacking a ship or some loading a ship, like, why would I want to do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, like with the doing something like that with the aimbot will be just crazy, in my opinion. Like making aimbot available to everyone, that would be
Yeah,
just insane.
that's what I'm thinking. So if we don't allow aimbots, jetzt for example, what is the system gonna be? How we ban a player? We cannot ban. Can we ban a wallet? Like Sandy and me have a dogfight. I turn on my aimbot. I destroy Sandy. He loses his asset in the high risk zone. So what happens then? Who is gonna paying for the big ship for the loss? And like people gonna be upset and all this, But how do we actually ban somebody for this? If we say all bots is okay, everything is allowed, just be like smart or something, but we need to assist them in the game anyways for banning this malicious behavior. So how this gonna be happen like
Yeah, this is very far away. Like as Signal said in the chat, like we're very far away from it. And I can't probably speak to that because I don't have the experience to, or nor I'm in the department that is thinking about this. So I'm sure there will be solutions. Like we all want Star Atlas to be a fun, playable game, And if something like that happens, like just nobody will go to the high risk zone. Nobody will play because you get destroyed by bots. So
What
I think the good thing is here, of course, that the Unreal Engine is made by Epic, and that the idea of aiming bots is something that affects almost all games out there, not just blockchain games. And if they're built on Unreal Engine, then there's a very good chance that it incentivizes other developers, but especially Epic itself, to work against that. So it will be probably like currently is the case, a cat and mouse game where a new aimbot is being released and subsequently shut down, if that is possible in a way, and then a new variant will pop up, etc. But hopefully, it could be that since there's money on the line for the person using that bot, we might be able to build on top of that cat and mouse game by saying, okay, if we detect you using one through our, let's say, counter software or aimbot detection software, then we might, I don't know, lock some of your stuff in a way that hurts you financially. I'm not sure. I mean, I know this. Now that I mention it, I right away figure out it's not going to work in a proper decentralized system. But I mean, it would be interesting though if somehow you could do something if you detect that in a nice way. But yeah, the good thing still is that this is not a problem that Atlas alone has to solve. Aimbots are, fortunately, between quotes, a thing that affects all games out there. So, and Epic is a big brand. The Real Engine is a very big engine. So I'm pretty sure that counter solution or aimbot detection algorithms will pop up, and we'll be able to fight those off for a while, and then again and again.
The one thing I can suggest is in terms of the aimbots, a lot of the games, especially out of Epic, or not out of Epic, even DayZ, there are tons of aimbots and hacks going on. But when you're playing in a community servers, those people get banned so quickly. So one idea would be somebody or a couple people in the game that are admins would be constantly checking these, looking at the reports of these people utilizing these type of hacks and bots and so on and so forth. Softwares will catch it to a certain point, but there's always a way somebody will come up with a program that will, breach it, and the only way to catch them would be within the game. There needs to be admins checking things out, because a lot of games have this, but they're also not paid in a way of Star Atlas, because we pay money for these ships, and losing it would be losing money too, compared to other games. So yeah.
Can I ask you questions? Are aimbots even relevant to Star Atlas gameplay, even in Unreal? I'm just curious.
Not right
No,
now, but in the future they will be. And
for which part? Hold on a second. But for which part of the gameplay for the Unreal version? For which part of the gameplay will those be relevant for?
like
We don't even
dogfighting.
know.
Dogfighting, you know.
I thought
that'll be
dogfighting
something
will
in the
be.
future.
I thought dogfighting will be based again, managed by NPCs. From what I remember.
When
No,
you're
so
playing
dog-
another person, you will be attacked. I mean, when you're driving your ship and you see someone out there, and you want to attack and destroy their ship, if you have an aimbot, whatever you look at, it will just snap to the target forever. So that
You can have both. So like you can pilot your cannons with NPCs. You know, like your ships come with NPCs, but then you can also manually man those cannons, so to speak. And as your NPCs level up, they'll become more. And this might have changed, but based on the past and what I have come to understand, like you'll be able to upgrade your NPCs over time. They'll level up and they'll become more efficient at whatever duty they are in the ship, like whether it's a hangar foreman or whatever they're doing. But people will be able to manage
exactly
those
what I
cannons a lot
mean.
better.
That's exactly what I mean in this case, right? And actually, kind of goes back to my original point. I think Star Atlas team is already thinking about these things in form of design, and I think that's why you have a crew and you have like a flotilla of ships, and there'll be like a micro and macro gameplay in a sense where, like, let's say you could send out your ship and then NPCs will manage the entire thing, right? You just give them a task, or you could like do it yourself with a particular ship and so on and so forth. Or like that's why I kind of think that they're kind of resolving it via design where there will be a lot of bot action, but this bot action will be based on like percentages and participation in the game, because even sending a ship someplace, right, and having a participate in campaigns, that's still participation. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be actually in that ship. Like maybe my ship, my flotilla is going to be operated 100% by bots, and they're going to become more efficient and their percentages will be better. Hence, it's going to prevent people from trying to design very specific aimbots for very specific tasks and figuring out how do you actually like position that particular aimbot or the particular cannon. It just will become irrelevant. Like there will be no need for it. Like it just will be managed by bots that are built into the NPC structure.
I like that a lot, but how do we have that while simultaneously like providing opportunities for other people to like, because the way I see it is that we have the NPC that might not be efficient, but then if you were able to allow some gamer that's a scholar to man that position, there could be like a profit share system that if you kind of didn't allow that essentially player position to take over for the NPC, which would inherently enable a bot, an aim bot to fake a player as actions. How can we then have like a profit share system?
Well, what you again, it's a design question, right? So what you do is you get ahead of the curve, right? Where you don't want everybody designing bots. You want potentially maybe some people who really, really are super interested in having like crazy, like cheating the system to do it, because those bots will be available and they will already have like a common denominator probability, like of functionality and send, like, and you could actually build up the NPCs as characters, right? Like, what if, for example, you have an NPC that's provided by the system, right? That you have used enough and managed well enough as a labor force, where they become so efficient and so good, they could compete with like low to medium skill players, right? That
I like that.
that means there's no need for somebody to design that guy, right? It will just be built as part of the system. If somebody makes even a better guy, okay, well, shit, they must have a lot of time on their hand. Like, let them do it. If they can do it, success to them. But eventually, eventually there will be a lot of things created that will be done better than done by the professional players. And then, end of the day, in terms of like esports, right? For esports level, it's in person, right? You see the camera, you see the player, so those tournaments will still be valid. there's absolutely no botting for those, right? So
I like
I'm
that.
sure
That's
Stardust will
good.
participate. Will participate.
That is super interesting. But they can be botting not only for like positions like in a crew, but also for a lot of different things. But let's not expand anymore because we are. Uh, it's getting late in the brew. We are 5 minutes over the time, so I think this is a good moment to close this one. But as always, like the voice chat, of course, remains open for anyone who would like to continue the conversation. I feel like this one was a really interesting one with a lot of good ideas. So just a reminder, guys, that we changed the structure of the brew. So we actually already know what is the topic for next Wednesday. And next Wednesday it's politics, and we'll be discussing about what is going to be like to have inner faction conflicts. So, for example, how will inner faction conflicts look like, and what impacts will they have in a faction? Uh, we don't want to spoil anything, so just join the next brew. I just dropped the link in the brew chat, so just mark yourself as interested in there, and so you don't miss it. Of course, all the brews that are left in the month can be found at the top left of the server. So if you're not interested in this one and you want to come to the next one that is happening in 2 weeks, just remember to mark yourself as interested. Also, something that we announced and that it's going to be really fun is the very first faction trivia. So it's a trivia where you will be earning points for your faction and getting places in the raffle, so you can win prizes. Also, the top scorer is winning behind the doors pass for, I don't know, 30 minutes probably, to the Star Atlas team server. So I just posted the event in the Atlas Brew chat. So make sure to come and compete. And we were thinking about maybe doing the next trivia or guilds to see what is the guild that knows the most about Star Atlas. So I don't know, faction trivia. This one, the first one, will be nice to test your skills and to maybe win some cool prizes, from ships to actually behind the doors, behind the scenes pass for the Star Atlas team server. So just mark yourself as interested so you don't miss the trivia, guys. And I feel like a good moment to close this brew. But again, the voice chat remains open if you want to continue the conversation. So thank you so much for joining, guys, and power to the people.
Stick to the man. See you guys. Thank you very much for today. See you next week.